Language barrier is the most important barrier that is there. Okay, now just imagine you are going to the south. You are from Maharashtra. You are going to the south. You are unable to speak English. Okay, and you go over there and you try to speak something in Marathi or Hindi. आपकी मराठी अपनी मराठी लोगों की हिंदी भी बहुत माशाल्लाह अच्छी होती है, right? So the way we speak in Hindi, the South Indian is not able to understand. Whatever he speaks, we are not able to understand. So there are different languages. As the state changes, the language changes. Not even that. Okay, the language even changes at 7 kilometers. It has been said, and it is very difficult to understand the different languages that are there, that exist even in a state. There are many people who don't understand English, whereas there are many people who don't understand Hindi. There are many people who don't understand Hindi being what you call that Rashtriya Bhasha hai apni, but then also many people are not able to understand Hindi also. There might be some foreign students that may be along with us today in the lecture. They may not be able to understand Hindi as a language. Okay, there are many people who don't understand Marathi as a language. Languages. One is able to speak one language, the other is not able to understand or speak that language. So there is going to be a communication gap. If this person is speaking in one language, which the other person is not able to understand, okay, this person is speaking one language, whereas this person is not able to understand that language. So what is going to happen? This person is not going to be able to decode whatever this person has encoded, isn't it? So he has encoded all these things, but what goes in his mind is just round and round and round. He is not able to understand it. There are many words, okay, which a common person does not understand. Okay, so these are known as jargons. Instead of saying a normal word, the person is using some specific word for it, whereby the person is not able to understand, right? अलंकारिक भाषा हम जिसको बोलते हैं, इंग्लिश में अलंकारिक लोग बोलते हैं, and then the person is not able to understand. The next is what is the clarity in speech. Whatever this person is speaking, okay, the language that he is speaking is not that clear. Hence, this person is not able to understand. The clarity of speech is over here. Sometimes you are not specific in whatever you are seeing. Okay, just for example, this person is asking, one of the examples, honey, what do you want for the birthday? And she says that I want diamond. Okay, so give me diamond. That is what she is saying. So what this person is getting the next day is getting a diamond. So he's getting a card. Diamond is there, and he's saying him happy birthday, because why? She was not specific. She did not say that I want diamond of this carat from this jewelry shop, isn't it? So she did not say that. One of the use of jargons is given over here. She was on cloud 9 after the results were declared. Instead of just saying that she was very happy, okay, instead of using this word as happy, he has used the words. He has used the jargon. What is the jargon? The jargon is she was on cloud 9. And what this person is understanding, he is understanding that there is some cloud that is over here, okay, and there is some 9 number cloud which is there, and she is sitting on that cloud. Okay, this is what this person is understanding, because he is not able to decode this word cloud 9. Okay, cloud 9 actually means, being on cloud 9 actually means being happy. Now there may be many students now also who are over here, who are sitting in the lecture. They may not be knowing the word of cloud 9. Okay, and that cloud 9 resembles what? It resembles, being on cloud 9 resembles what? The word happiness. Okay, so this is the example of use of jargon. The next example that you can take in long language barrier is words with similar pronunciation but having different meaning. These are known as homophones. Okay, just for example, accept and accept. These two are very different words. Okay, but these two, okay, if you pronounce it accept, it becomes the same. Now you won't understand when I say accept. You want to understand whether I'm saying this word as accept or I'm saying this word as accept. Okay, you won't be in a position to understand it. Fair and fair. Okay, these two are what? homophones. They are what you call that? Whenever you pronounce them, it is going to be the similar fair, but both have very different meaning. Fair is something mela, where fair is what that you are being fair with me, you are being nice with me, you are being kind with me. Okay, that type. Counsel and counsel both again have different meaning, but the pronunciation is the same. Principal and principal, again, they both have different meaning, but the pronunciation is what? It is the similar. Okay. So these are homophones. Again, when you are using homophones, then there may be what? A barrier. He may not be able to, he may understand as the word accept when you have said the word as accept. Okay, that may be a problem. Now, language barrier also occurs when you are using the shortcuts many a times. For people like me, it really is a great barrier. Many times I ask people what you are trying to say. Okay, some words like definitely, some words like ASAP, PFA. These are very common words which are nowadays used in your mails, etc. Now ASAP, I definitely have chosen these words. I have not chosen your words. What you call that? Your language, what you use in WhatsApp. That language I have not purposefully chosen. I have chosen the words which I use in business. Okay, so ASAP is what? As soon as possible. This is the shortcut. But there may be some person who may not be understanding this word as ASAP. What is the meaning of it? And that may lead to the language barrier, written language barrier. Whereas some word as PFA, PFA stands for please find attached. But many people may not be able to understand. In mail, these words are being used. When you write down, when you draft a mail, nowadays these words are being used. But if somebody is not aware with these words, okay, then what may be happen? Then there may be a language barrier. He may not be able to understand what is the meaning of PFA. What is the meaning of ASAP? Okay, it means as soon as possible, but he may not be able to understand. In a similar fashion, on WhatsApp, whenever there is a WhatsApp communication, there are many shortcuts which have been used. Initially, I was not able to understand the word GA also. What is the meaning of word GA? So I asked them, Baba, GA का मतलब तुमको कहना क्या है? So you say good afternoon. GM means good morning. Okay. Now these shortcuts I was absolutely not knowing earlier. So whatever the person used to write down, okay, I was not able to understand because the shortcuts. Now also there are many shortcuts which go on coming, and I have to ask them, what is the meaning of this shortcut? What do you mean by it? Because what? Otherwise it is going to reflect into a language barrier. Many times you can ask, but many times you cannot ask. Supposing किसी student ने मेरे को message भेज दिया and he has written some shortcut. Now it becomes very embarrassing for me to ask him, what is the meaning of this shortcut? Isn't it? Sometimes it happens to your bosses. It becomes very difficult for you to understand. He would be thinking, "Are itna bhi isko malum nahi kya?" That is what you feel. Okay, and that leads to the language barrier. There are some words which have multiple meaning, double meaning. Okay. Now these double meaning sentences again can cause confusion. Again can cause the decoding problem. Just for an example, one of the person telling me that the shop sells cheap material. Okay. Now the cheap is iska meaning usko कहना होगा economical. Okay. That they are selling the material at low cost. But what I may understand that they are selling cheap material, it means what? They are selling low grade material, low quality material. So I may consider cheap this word with quality. Okay. Whereas that person wants to correlate this cheap word with low pricing as economical. Okay. So that is how one sentence can have different meaning also. Okay. So because of these problems in your different languages, because of the jargons, because there is no clarity, no specificity, because of the homophones, because of the shortcuts, or because of the multiple meaning that a word may be having or a sentence may be having, because of that, what happens is there is a language problem that exists. Now moving ahead, another problem that exists apart from physiological barrier. Now physiological barrier, it is because of the what you call that, the problem that is there inside the body. Okay, physiological problem. Okay, whereas you have another barrier, that is the psychological barrier. Okay, And this psychological barrier is very dangerous, right? Now, the meaning of psych means mind. Okay. This is the problem which arises in your mind. And if there is something already that has occupied your mind regarding a particular person, okay, then there is always going to be a language barrier. Okay, let us take first example as ego. Ego means I am always right, everybody else is wrong, only my point of view is right. Okay, these type of ego people are having. Many bosses are having this type of an ego. And if you have these type of an ego, then what happens is your mind is blocked in order to listen to anybody, in order to listen to the views of anybody, in order to listen to the suggestions of anybody. Okay, because you feel only my point of view is right. Okay, and that happens because of the ego. Whatever I know is the best, the other person don't know anything about this topic. Okay, that is the ego. This ego problem may be with the other person whom you are speaking, or it may be with you also. Okay, if either the sender or the receiver is having ego, then there is going to be a communication barrier, okay, in between you two. The next thing is prejudice. When you have a prejudiced mind about somebody, okay, then what is going to happen? You are not going to listen to him in that way. Just for an example, if you feel that the other person, whatever he is talking is against me, he is not my well-wisher. Okay. So whatever he is going to tell me is going to be against me. It is going to harm me. Okay. This is the prejudice. Prejudice means what? The preconceived notion about some person. आप किसी के बारे में पहले से ही ख्याल करके रखते हो कि ये आदमी खराब है. Okay, this is the prejudice mind. Sometimes it may be opposite also. It may be a mind which are going to say that this person, whatever he talks, is 100% right. He is not going to make any mistake. Okay, it happens with some person. It happens with your bosses also. Your boss may think that this person, however, whenever he opens his mouth, he says false. That's the prejudice mind. आपको रहता है ना किसी किसी के माइंड में prejudice कि अरे ये जब भी मुंह खोलता है तब ये झूठ बोलता है. So many a times what happens is the person is speaking truth, but your mind, okay, in your mind, okay, what you have already thought is this person, whenever he opens his mouth, he is going to tell lies. Okay, so whatever he is going to say, whatever communication he is going to do, you are going to term that communication as lies only. Okay, that is about the prejudiced mind. The next is positive and negative image about self. Sometimes when you have a positive image, that is known as an ego. Whereas sometimes you have a negative image of yourself only, right? That is known as low self-esteem. You are very low at self-esteem. In your while standing on stage and delivering a lecture, okay, while talking in a group, while doing a group communication, while appearing an interview, while answering for your viva, okay, if you have this negative image about yourself, then what is it is going to happen? It is going to hamper your communication. You may be knowing the answer of some question which the other person is going to ask, which the other person is asking you. You have the knowledge about the particular topic, but you have negative image, negative self-esteem about yourself. And that is why you don't open your mouth and you do not tell your suggestions, you do not give your opinions, you do not give your views about that particular topic. It is why? Because you have negative self-image about yourself, negative image about your own self. Sometimes you have a positive image about yourself. This positive image, if it is not an ego, is very useful. Okay, while standing on your stage, while speaking in group, okay, this image of yourself is going to help you. But excessive of a positive image of yourself can lead to ego. So you have to be very careful in this. Next is misperception as misunderstanding. You have this also sometimes goes with your word prejudice only. You have some misperception or you have some misunderstanding about a particular person. And It may be about a particular person, it may be about a particular topic, it may be about a particular religion, it may be about a particular culture. Okay, so whenever you have any misperception or any misunderstanding about particular religion, about particular culture, about particular person, okay, about particular topic, about particular political, political party, okay, or some organization, misconception or misunderstanding about some organization, then that is going to be occupied in your mind. If somebody is talking about that organization, there is already a misperception that the organization is bad. So what you are going to take is only you are going to take the bad things that that person is talking. You're not going to take the positives also which that person is taking because of the misperception. Or even if the person speaks good about that particular organization, you are not going to consider it as true. You are going to consider नहीं ये सब झूठ बोल रहा है, because there is a misperception or misunderstanding in your mind. So that person is saying right things, but you are not considering it. But some one fault that he takes out, you are considering it. That is what is the communication gap that exists between the sender and the receiver. The another barrier that is there, communication barrier, is the distress and unhappy emotions. Emotional disturbances regarding emotion. Yes. Hello.
Sir, can I ask a doubt?
Yeah, please. Can you please tell me your name first?
Ananya
Ananya.
Mandal.
Yeah, Ananya. Please go ahead. Go ahead, Ananya.
Yeah. So, sir, in before Diwali, you event on the physiological barriers before those were different. So, can these two be in the same heading? Like
Which one?
you said before Diwali,
See,
you
physiological,
said physiological barriers were
I'll tell you the difference between physiological barrier and the psychological barrier. Okay, physiological barrier deals with some कमी अपने बॉडी में, यानी मुझे कम सुनाई देता है. So that is a physiological barrier. I am not able to speak. I stammer while speaking. That is a physiological barrier. That cannot be. See, I cannot. जो hearing problem है, what I can do is I can use a hearing aid and I can put it over here. The disturb. Just for an example, let us go to that slide. Okay. Now, memory problem. Okay. This memory problem can be overcome. How it can be overcome? Because I don't have a proper memory. Okay. How this can be overcome? I can overcome by writing it. I told you ना, वाइफ मेरे को 3 काम बोलती है और मैं क्या करता हूँ, उसमें से एक काम भूल जाता हूँ, 2 ही काम करता हूँ. So what I can do is I can write it down. Then lack of attention is another problem. Okay. If there is a lack of attention, then what I can do is I can focus on that particular thing. This is a physiological barrier. This is the barrier that is there inside my body. Okay. Are you understanding it? Illness is there. This illness, when it goes, then again this barrier would be lost. Okay. Hearing problem. I can use hearing aid and I can solve this problem. Okay. These are not mental problem. Try to understand. These are not mental problem. Okay. And physiological barriers can be a little bit overcome. Whereas if you go to the psychological barriers, these psychological barriers are very difficult to overcome. Okay. If a person is egoistic, it is very difficult, okay, to overcome your ego. If you have a prejudice in your mind about somebody at that moment of time, it becomes very difficult to overcome that prejudice. Just remember your 12th standard. 12th standard में अन्य एक लड़की होगी जो आपको बिल्कुल पसंद नहीं होगी. उसका नाम बताओगे मुझे? Tell me the name of the girl, Ananya, whom you should not like absolutely.
Khushi.
Khushi. Okay. So Khushi you should never like. But so whatever, if there was in your mind that Khushi is a bad girl, so what she is to communicate, you should never take it seriously. First of all, you must not be communicating only, right, with her, because you should never like her. So वहां पे एक बैरियर आ जाता है कि आप उससे कभी कम्युनिकेट नहीं करोगी. ठीक है. लेकिन अगर कम्युनिकेट भी किया किसी वजह से, okay, just because there is a requirement, you are there in the same project, okay, because of that you're communicating with her, then what used to happen in that case? You should never like the suggestions that is given by her, isn't it? You should say, nay, Khushi, whatever Khushi is telling is absolutely wrong. She is talking total illogical, okay, and she is saying this because she does not like me, okay. So वो प्रिजुडाइज आपके माइंड में होता है और वो निकालना बहुत मुश्किल हो जाता है बेटा. खुशी को आप एक साल
Yes,
पहले भी
sir.
नहीं
So
लाइक करते
it
थे.
can be overcome, but it's difficult.
It is difficult to overcome. Perfectly right. Okay. For overcoming it, then you really require to be a good person. You should overcome it. I don't say that it is difficult, but you should overcome it. Because unless and until you overcome it, there is going to be a communication gap. Just imagine that you both are in the same project. Khushi and you are in the same project. और अगर आपके बीच में अगर ये साइकोलॉजिकल बैरियर एग्जिस्ट करता है तो विल दैट प्रोजेक्ट बी सक्सेसफुल? इट वोंट बी सक्सेसफुल, राइट? यू आर इन स्कूल, ठीक है, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, आपका एक दूसरे से कोई काम नहीं पड़ता, ठीक है, खुशी का और आपका. लेकिन जस्ट इमेजिन खुशी और आप अभी एक साथ किसी कंपनी में ज्वाइन करते हो, फार्मेसी कर लिया, एंड यू बोथ ज्वाइन इन द सेम ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. व्हाट इज गोइंग टू हैपन? You have to work as a team or not? Will you work as a team or not? You have to. Okay. For that, what you have to do? You have to overcome your ego, which is there at that time. What is your ego? Okay. कि मैं खुशी से अच्छी हूँ, खुशी को कुछ समझता नहीं है. खुशी is a hopeless girl. Sorry, if there is some खुशी in this, what do you call that? In this, what do you call that? In the classroom, we are talking about another खुशी, not you. Okay. Please. So that prejudice is there in your mind. So you have to overcome that prejudice. You have to overcome your ego. Okay. And then only you will be able to communicate. If you don't overcome it, you won't be able to communicate. So these are in your mind and they are wrong. Try to understand. They are wrong. These are just present. खुशी गलत लड़की थी ही नहीं बेटा. तुमने जो एक साल उसको समझा ना गलत, वो गलत थी नहीं. अगर आपको इसके बारे में जानना है तो खुशी के फ्रेंड से पूछो कि खुशी कैसी है. दे विल टेल यू हाउ नाइस शी इज. राइट और रॉन्ग अनन्या? करेक्ट और रॉन्ग?
Yes, sir.
इफ यू आस्क द फ्रेंड्स ऑफ खुशी, व्हाट दे विल से? शी इज अ वेरी गुड गर्ल. ओके,
Yes, sir.
अंडरस्टूड? So these are there in your mind. These all distrust against the people is in your mind. Okay, the person are trustworthy. Okay, you should learn to trust the person. Unless and until you trust the person, you can't give him the work. Regarding emotion, as I told you, we are going to talk about emotional disturbances a lot, but just to tell you over here in short, as it exists over here, when you are happy, okay, the same communication you take in a different way. But when you are sad, you take the same communication in a different way, isn't it? Your friend cracks a joke, you are not in a good mood, आप क्या करते हो? उसको झाप देते हो. समझता नहीं क्या तेरे को, मैं कौन से मूड में हूं, क्या बोल रहा है तू, वाई आर यू क्रैकिंग अ जोक, कांट यू अंडरस्टैंड? अरे वाई विल ही अंडरस्टैंड? ही डजंट नो. बट एट द सेम टाइम इफ यू आर इन गुड मूड, अगर आपका फ्रेंड आपको कुछ ऊंचा नीचा बोल भी देता है, देन ऑल्सो यू व्हाट, यू इग्नोर इट. Anger, fear, sadness, okay, happiness, these joy, these all are different kinds of emotions. Okay, and add these emotions also are mental in nature, isn't it? Today, now I am happy, the other moment I may become sad. Okay, the next moment I may become happy again. Okay, so these are emotional disturbances, and each and every emotional disturbances, the communication, how you are going to receive the communication is going to be different, and also how you are going to send the communication as a sender, how we are going to say something is also going to be different. Then there may be illness which are psychotic or neurotic in nature. Okay, mental illness, that time also there is going to be a communication barrier. We talked about emotional disturbances. Worry is a form of emotional disturbances. Okay, fear, anxiety, okay, confused state, these are also kind of an emotional disturbances. Okay, and because of this emotional disturbances, there is going to be a psychological barrier between your communication. There are some people who have closed mind. Okay, usually you see this with the old age people, and also you see it with the egoistic person. Their minds are always closed in nature. Just for example, I just taken an example of a mobile app which I thought about. You try to teach this people, how to download an app, but they will never like to do it. They will always say what? नाही नाही मला काही जमत नाही ते. I can't understand whatever this app etc is there. You please download and give it to me. Doesn't it happen? It usually happens. Okay, because why? Because why? Their mind has been closed. They say that this mobile smartphone are very difficult to operate. That is there in your mind. It is mental. Are mobile phone difficult to operate? No. Did anybody teach you to how to operate a mobile phone? No. Did anybody teach you how to download an app? No. Even if they have taught you, they must have taught you for few seconds, few minutes. और उसके ऊपर आप सीख गए, isn't it? Did anybody did anybody teach you how to send a WhatsApp message? No. Did anybody teach you how to, and there are many other things. You are receptive to those things, right? Whereas if you take an old age person, he has a closed mind towards it. In the similar manner, there are many things that you have closed your mind to. Many students have closed their mind to maths. They feel maths is a subject which is not going to go in my head. It is a very easy and interesting subject, but they are very afraid of it. Some people have closed their mind towards chemistry. Chemistry के मुझे equations कभी आएंगे ही नहीं. Some people feel that they won't be able to balance the equation. So कितना भी मैं उनके साथ communicate करूं, कितना भी मैं उनको सिखाने की कोशिश करूं कि these are the way the balancing of equation takes place in chemistry, they are not receptive only. They are not going to listen to me because it is in their minds. What is there in their mind? That balancing of equation is difficult. Okay. Some people feel that remembering the what you call that equation, a plus b the whole square is equal to a square plus 2ab plus b square. Okay, remembering this equation is you call it formulas. Sorry, not equation. The formulas, remembering math formulas are difficult. And once they have that in their mind, they are never going to remember that maths formula. Okay, so some people have closed mind for something. They are not receptive to some things. Okay. And that is why there is going to be a psychological barrier. Some people are not interested in particular things, or some people have a negative attitudes towards some particular topic. Like some people have negative attitude towards cricket. Cricket बोले तो बकवास है, waste of time है. They are not going to. There is always going to be a communication barrier when I talk with those people about cricket. Okay. Whereas some people may not be interested in politics. If they are not interested in politics, then whatever I talk about politics with them, they are going to be what? They are going to be indifferent to them, to that topic. So if they are indifferent to that topic, if they are not ready to receive that topic, then what is going to happen? It is going to lead to a psychological barrier. And lastly is the daydreaming. Most of the students have this habit of daydreaming. Okay, they are sitting over here, whereas at this moment also many people may be daydreaming. Okay, whereby they will be sitting in the classroom in front of the screen, whereas they would be thinking about something else that is going on outside. उनका friend कहीं महाबलेश्वर गया हुआ है, तो he or she is thinking about that person and something of that sort. Somebody is thinking about something else. So that is about the daydreaming. Most of the students have this habit of daydreaming. Okay, because the topic is of not their interest, because the attitude towards that subject is in that way. Okay, and because of that they go into daydreaming also. So these are some of the psychological barriers this exists. Okay, as I was talking with Ananya, the psychological problems are difficult to overcome. It doesn't mean that you cannot overcome it. You can definitely overcome it. Okay, but they are a little bit difficult to overcome. Like when you're emotionally disturbed. Okay, we are going to talk about emotion further, as I told you. But supposing you are emotionally disturbed, in that case, what you can do is you can overcome this emotion, right? If you are talking with somebody, you can keep your emotion outside, and you can talk with that person professionally, isn't it? If you are having ego, remove your ego. If you are having prejudice about somebody, remove that prejudice from your mind. Keep your mind clean. Keep your slate clean. If your slate, which I mean to say, mind is equal to slate. So if your slate is clean, then what is going to happen? You will be able to write properly onto that slate. You will be able to grasp properly what the other person is saying. So you have to overcome the psychological barrier. Only and only if you overcome the psychological barrier, then only your communication would be right. If you are carrying some baggage about that other person, about the sender, then your communication is never going to be right. ओके जैसे जैसे आपके दिमाग में एक माय डॉटर्स ओके इफ यू टेक माय डॉटर्स आई हैव 2 daughters ओके and my daughters they feel ki papa is very strict in nature. Do you find me strict? Hello, somebody open their mic. Do you find me strict? Hello.
No, sir.
Not at all, sir.
Huh? Yes or no?
No, no, sir.
No, sir. No, sir.
No, na? I'm not strict. Okay. So, but my daughters find to be strict. So what happens is there is going to be a psychological barrier. Whatever I am going to talk, they are going to be taking it in that way. कि नहीं अब ये करना ही पड़ेगा क्योंकि पापा ने बोला है, नहीं तो पापा डांटेंगे. Isn't it? So there might be some things which they don't want to do, but they still would be doing. Because the word compulsory, they are attaching to my communication. Whereas they don't have to attach the word compulsory to my communication. But why they are adding that word compulsory to my communication? Because in their mind, okay, there is a prejudice that what Papa is strict. Got it? Understood? So this is what is the psychological barrier. Moving ahead with the next barrier is the gender barrier. Okay, men and women, these are the 2 genders. Okay, and they have totally different way of communication. And what habit do we have is further, this is what I am saying is men and women have different way of communication, means what I am doing is I am stereotyping. What I have done further is stereotyping only of the males and females. We have some things in our mind regarding a male, we have something in our mind regarding a female. Okay, and because of that prejudiced mind, okay, what we are thinking is woman is going to speak in a specific way, men is going to speak in a specific way, and that is why there is always going to be a communication gap. There is a communication gap between men and men. There is a communication gap between men and women in some cases, and there is a communication gap between woman and woman on certain topics and on certain subject. Because as they are gender different, hence there exists a communication gap in between them. Okay, one thing is why? Because we are stereotyping them. Okay, for example, there was a initial stereotyping that women won't understand anything about politics. This is the stereotyping. There is a stereotyping that women won't understand anything about cricket. It's a stereotyping that is there in our mind, and hence when a woman comes, you're not going to talk about those things. Whereas there is a stereotyping about men that men does not understand anything about cooking. Okay, this is a stereotyping, but there are many men who can cook better, who can talk about cooking better than what women can talk, isn't it? At the same time, there are women who can talk better about cricket than what a man can talk. IPL में आपने देखा होगा, there are many female women who are taking interviews of those of the cricketers, etc. If you there are women who are giving commentary onto cricket, isn't it? So, but this is a stereotyping that we have, and as there is a stereotyping as we have stereotyped men and women into specific categories, so what is happening is there is a communication gap. I won't speak about cricket with women. It's because of the stereotyping that I have done. Women won't speak with me about cooking because that is the stereotyping that they have done. That way also, I don't understand anything about cooking. So please don't talk to me about cooking that way. That stereotyping would be right when it comes to me because I don't understand anything about cooking. But yes, सब्जियों के नाम भी मुझे कभी-कभी पता नहीं होते कि ये सब्जी को क्या बोलते हैं. In my case, definitely it is right. When you do stereotyping about men and cooking, then that is right. So this is a stereotyping that we do about a particular woman or a man and hence we don't talk about those topics with those men or with those women. Okay, so stereotyping becomes a major problem in communication gap, because in our mind we feel कि ये जो भी मैं बोल रहा हूं या बोल रही हूं, the other person is not going to be able to understand it because he is a man, because he is a woman. Okay, now there is always a level of uncomfortableness. Okay, a man is usually quite uncomfortable to talk with a woman. There are many men, there are many female male students who are very uncomfortable to talk with the female students, as well as there are many female students who are very who find it very uncomfortable to talk with male students. Okay, so as the genders are different, in between the two genders also there exists a comfortable gap. Okay, so each feel uncomfortable while talking to the other. Okay, because of the basic difference in communication style also, right? Also, it is very important nowadays, the men should remember this, that when you're talking with a woman, you cannot talk in the similar fashion as you're talking with a man. Okay, you have to be very careful, you have to be very choosy, you have to be very peculiar when you use your words. You cannot use wrong words when you're talking with the woman, more so ever in a business scenario, in an organization scenario, when you're joining an organization, and if you are speaking with a woman colleague of yours, you have to be very, the men have to be very particular in choosing their words and saying the things. Okay, they cannot say the things which are not appropriate. Okay, otherwise the consequences might be very wrong. Okay, very
So,
dangerous, so they have to remember that. Yes.
so Ananya Mandal again.
Yeah, please.
So this is included in physiological barriers, right?
Which one? See, now listen one thing. Now there are many barriers which are overcoming on one to another. Okay, there may be some emotional barriers which may be there in physiological barriers, or there may be one in psychological barriers. There may be some barriers which are overlapping on each other. Okay, so yes, there are some barriers, but which barrier you are talking about, I don't know. Which barrier you are talking about is included in psychological barrier?
So gender barriers.
Gender barrier, that
Because
way
that
would
was in the list you showed in the physiological barriers.
what did 1 minute, let me see. What did I
In
show you?
the not psychological, so physiological.
Psychological barrier, I told about this or what?
Yes, sir.
Okay, where was it? Okay, gender physiological difference. Yes, but here gender physiological difference, if you see my video which I'm going to upload, you will remember that gender, here I told you that gender physiological difference is the difference between the physique of a woman and physique of a male. It is with related to that, this physiological barrier. Just for example, that time I talked about, I gave this example. Women are very soft spoken. Okay,
Yes, sir.
whereas a male is very louder as compared to a woman. Okay, so the shouting ability which I have may be the same, the pitch with which I speak, the tone with which I speak. Okay, with the same tone, your other professors, other female professors would not be speaking. Am I right or wrong? Now
Yes,
let us
sir.
take the example of myself, this lecture, and the lecture which was there earlier. Which was the earlier lecture that you have? इसका पहले वाला लेक्चर कौन सा था आपका? अर्शुले मैडम का लेक्चर था?
Organic chemistry.
Yeah,
Good.
Arsuya madam. She was talking about the organic chemistry. Now, was she talking in the same pitch that I am talking? Was she shouting like I am shouting now? Hello?
No.
No. Right? Why she was not doing that? Because there exists a gender physiological difference. A male can have his high pitch, whereas a female cannot have that much high pitch. Again, I am not stereotyping, please remember. Otherwise, some female student of mine we are going to get offended. No, sir, ऐसा क्यों आप बोल रहे? I am talking in general. a female is more tender physiologically, okay, more soft, more smooth, whereas a male is not that smooth. He's a little bit rough, right? So we are talking about that physiological difference over here, gender physiological difference. Now that can be included over here also. Okay, that you can stereotype over here also, that men are rough, they have a high pitch, okay, whereas a woman they have low pitch, right? You can put it over here also. So Ananya, please remember there would be some points which would be overlapping. There would be some points which would be over there also and which would be over here also. Okay, but there I was talking general gender difference with respect to physiological difference. Okay, try to understand. Here I am talking general difference with the point of communication. Okay. The next point, coming back to my another point, is that if you take a woman, she on an average speaks near about 25,000 words a day. Whereas if you take a man, he usually speaks near about only 7,000 words a day. Okay. Now, if you want to put it in other words, again, these all sentences are given in the textbook. Please, these are not my views. Please remember, these are the views of the books, okay, of the textbook or the data which I have taken. Okay, so women or men, please don't get offended by this. If you want to put it in other way, it can be that men's, they are most precise and specific, whereas women's, they like details. Okay, they speak in more detail, whereas men's, they speak few words and they are more precise. They don't like to speak more, and that is why a communication gap that it exists between a male and a female. So a woman, you'll be always seeing a woman comparing to his a female partner, always comparing to the male partner. तुमने मुझे ये बताया नहीं. You didn't tell me about this. If you told me about this, you didn't give me the details. Okay. See how much I am talking, whereas you don't speak only on the phone. We are talking from last half an hour, 25 minutes. तो मैंने ही बात की. Woman would be saying, and she would be telling that male partner that you have not talked only. You have just talked for 5 minutes. The difference is what? He is more precise, okay, a man, whereas a woman like to speak in detail. Okay, because she usually speaks 2,500 words a day, whereas a male speaks only 7,000 words a day. Moving ahead, women always link logic and emotion while talking. Okay, so logic and emotions are mixed. So women mix emotions along with logic. Okay, whereas if you see men, they usually they try to relate it to logic. Okay, talking, they don't relate emotions to it. Okay, because speaking function of the brain in men is on the left hand side. Okay, if you see physiology, the speaking function that exists in the men's brain, it's on the left hand side. Whereas if you see in a woman's brain, the speaking function is on both sides. That is also on left as well as right side of the hemisphere of the brain. And hence women usually link logic and emotions together. And hence they are always emotional while they are talking. Whereas men, usually you'd be seeing many of them saying that men are emotionless. Okay, because they don't mix both of them, right? So in communication, that can be seen. You can see a woman more emotional while talking, whereas you'll see a male who is not that much emotional while talking. Now, that is what is given in the next point. Men are supposed to show emotions. I think so. There's some mistake. Men are not. Men are not supposed to show emotions. Okay, whereas you'll see females, they are supposed to show the emotions, right? Also, there is a problem if there is a female boss and male subordinate. So ego, that is a problem. That is a physiological problem of the male that comes over here. So if there is a female boss, this male subordinate is always what is there? He doesn't want to hear to her. Okay, because he feels I am a male and male ego, you know very well, is too high. So at that time also, between a female boss and a male subordinate, there is always going to be a communication gap. Actually, it should not be. Okay, male and female, they both are equal. If you are a male and if you have a female boss, then there should not be a communication gap. She is another human being, okay, who is having better qualification, who is having better experience, who is having better knowledge than you have. So you should be more receptive to whatever communication or whatever orders are given by her. Then communication barriers are also due to the societal expectation regarding the general roles. Okay, the what you call it, your society, it has some expectation from a certain gender, that this gender should speak about this thing and this gender should speak about these things. Okay, फॉर एग्जाम्पल बारबी डॉल के बारे में सिर्फ फीमेल ने ही बोलना चाहिए, वेर सुपरमैन के बारे में सिर्फ मेल नहीं बोलना चाहिए. ओके, आई एम जस्ट गिविंग यू सिंपल एग्जांपल्स. सो इफ अ मेल स्टार्ट्स टॉकिंग अबाउट बारबी डॉल, then what is happening is the society is not that much acceptable for that particular conversation. Okay, so in the same manner, this is a simple example that I gave. There are many norms that are there in society. Okay, if somebody tries to break that norm and try to communicate in some other way, then the society is not receptive towards that kind of a communication. So these are the barriers that exist between gender barriers that exist. Just give me 5 to 10 minutes more. I will finish the barriers and then we'll stop with the lecture. Okay, there are 2 more barriers that are remaining. We'll finish off with both of them. The next type of barrier is the interpersonal barrier. Now, in order to understand the interpersonal communication, interpersonal barriers, we should understand the difference between the interpersonal communication and intrapersonal communication. What is the difference between interpersonal communication and intrapersonal communication? Interpersonal communication is the communication that takes place between 2 people. One. Okay, if I am talking with my mother, that kind of communication is going to be interpersonal communication. Okay, whereas the communication, okay, that is happening with in between yourself, means you talking in front of a mirror, okay, you writing down a diary, is an intrapersonal communication. It is you talking with yourself. So when a communication occurs between 2 peoples, okay, 2 or more people. Now when I am talking with you all, this is if you also communicate, like Ananya communicated with me, okay, that is an interpersonal communication. If I'm recording a song, then that is going to be intrapersonal communication. If I'm sitting alone and I'm talking with myself, then that is going to be an intrapersonal communication. If I'm writing diaries, if I'm doing some audio recordings, then it's going to be an intrapersonal communication. Exchange of ideas is an in between 2 people is interpersonal communication. Whereas thoughts and analysis, I am reading a book, I am giving a thought on that book, I am doing analysis of certain figures while reading a newspaper. That is nothing but an intrapersonal communication. I communicating with myself is an intrapersonal communication. I communicating with you all or with somebody else is an interpersonal communication. So it is between 2 or more people. Intrapersonal communication is just you. Okay, intrapersonal communication happens when you communicate with others, and interpersonal communication happens when we are communicating with others. Whereas intrapersonal communication, when you plan, when you reflect, when you get closer to yourself, that is nothing but an intrapersonal communication. When you write a letter, you are the sender, there is some other person who is going to be the receiver and he is going to read it and understand it. It becomes an interpersonal communication. But when you are writing a diary, which you yourself are going to read, nobody else is going to read, it becomes an intrapersonal communication. So this is the difference between intrapersonal and interpersonal communication. There are some interpersonal barriers that exist. The barrier when 2 people are communicating with each other, some barrier exists. What are they? Okay, these barriers are classified into 2 basic categories. One is inefficient communication skill. Okay, the person is not able to communicate properly because of many problems. Because of the limited vocabulary that he is having, he is not able to find out the exact words in order to communicate because his vocabulary is less. And why his vocabulary is less? because his reading is less. So if I want to talk about supposing Sachin Tendulkar, I can talk about a lot about him because that much I have read about him. But if you want me to talk about Pele, okay, who was a football player, I won't be able to talk. I can just say only one line about Pele. Pele is a football player. Apart from that, I won't be able to talk anything about him. Okay. Just because of why? Because the knowledge about him is very less. Okay. Now, this limitation in and the second is the negative aspect nurturing in the climate. Okay, there is some negativity that is there inside the environment, in between the sender and the receiver. There is some negative aspect that are there. These negative aspects may be from the side of the receiver also. It may be from the side of the sender also. Okay. Now, limitation in communication skill of this limitation, okay, maybe from the because of the encoder, it may be because of the decoder, or it may be because of the both. Now, it may be because of the disturbance in the communication channel or the medium of communication, okay, and hence the interpersonal communication does not take place. You are talking with somebody else, and there is a lot of noise that is going on nearby. Then also there is going to be a barrier in between your communication, okay, because of there is a lot of disturbance in the channel. For example, you're talking on phone with somebody and there is a lot of noise that is going on, lot of disturbances that is going on inside the phone. Then also there is going to be a problem. It may be difference of triad that exists between two people. You are one person and there are other persons who are over here, okay. Your triad means what is the meaning of triad? Can anybody tell me what is the meaning of triad? Yes, I didn't get it. What is the meaning of triad?
Character.
Not character. Triad is not character. What is the meaning of triad? Can anybody tell me? Now just imagine. Now this triad word. Pardon?
Characteristics.
Characteristics. Yeah,
Characteristics.
characteristics. Yes. Characteristics is the right word. Or whatever the gun hai aap mein, whatever the positive things are there inside you, those are the triads. For example, you are hardworking. Hardworking may be a triad. You have a good communication skill. Communication skill would be a triad in you. Okay. You are helpful. So helpful is a triad in you, right? So yes, characteristics is the right definition of triad. So there are some triads that are existing in you, whereas there are some triads which are not existing in these people. So your triad is different, whereas these people, their triad is going to be different. And as the triad between two people are different, hence the communication, there is a communication barrier. Because आप किसी टॉपिक के ऊपर बात करोगे, ये किसी दूसरे टॉपिक के ऊपर बात करेंगे, because they are not familiar with your triads. Okay, got me? So because of the difference of triad, also there might be a barrier in communication. Lack of open-mindedness. Either this person is not open-minded or this person is not open-minded. So what happens is you're not understanding from the angle of the listener कि उसको क्या सुनना है, वो उसको बताओ, तभी वो सुनने वाला है. अगर उसका पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू अलग है सुनने का, तो वो सुनने वाला नहीं है. Supposing I start with a topic which is not there in the syllabus about communication skill only. I start talking about it and I tell you that this topic is not in the syllabus. What is going to happen is you are not going to listen to me because you know that it is not going to come in the examination. So what you have to do is there is a lack of open-mindedness. You have to understand the angle of the listener, the point of view of the listener, and then you have to communicate. Lack of participation. Many a times in a group, you don't participate. Why? Because there is a negative aspect that is nurturing in the climate. The negative aspect is what? That you're not that much confident enough. Hence, you do not participate in the whatever is the communication. There are two persons who are talking in the communication. Only one person is speaking, whereas the other is not speaking. Or there are 3-4 people. You are one of them. These three are speaking with this one person, or they are speaking in a group, whereas you are left out from the group. Okay. Why you are left out from the group? Because there is a negative aspect that is nurturing. You are not that much confident your vocabulary is limited. Your triads are different than their triads. They are talking about cricket, but your triad is not football, isn't it? Hence, you are not able to communicate with them. And the last is misinterpretation of the non-verbal act. Okay, so there are different non-verbal actions which a person do, and the people, they try to measure a person with the act. For example, just for an example, I am a person who notices a lot of, supposing I am a person who is noticing a lot of the non-verbal action. So I am talking with one of the person, and he is having this kind of an, he is standing in this way. So what I am going to say, what I am going to understand, this person has folded his hand and is standing in front of you when I am communication. It means what? He is aggressive in nature. Actually, he may not be aggressive, isn't it? He may not be aggressive. He's just folding the hands in that way. Many people, okay, consider that if there is crossing of legs, then the people are not open to communicating. It may not be that, okay, or the person is lying. It may not be that. ऐसा होगा क्या? कभी कभी नहीं होता वैसा. She is just crossing the because she wants to. Then somebody having standing in this position, having their hands on the hip. Okay, it means what? And being very attentive. It means what? You will understand that she is very much interested. But maybe she's just showing you she's actually not interested only. Just imagine that you're talking and he's talking in this, a person is standing in this way in front of you. Okay, and you are a boss, and you find the person is standing in this way. What you are going to say? What do you think? I'm stupid or what? Okay, how are you standing? Stand properly when I'm speaking with you. It may be not in that way. He's just standing in the proper way. Okay, it is the way with which he stands. So many times, whenever you see these actions, okay, where the person is standing, you usually misinterpret, okay, the non-verbal communication act which the person is giving. Okay, you are speaking something and a person may yawn. Many times he yawns because it is not because he has not slept the other day. The whole night he was watching some serial on Netflix. That's why he's yawning. It is not because he's not interested in your topic, but what you will be taking is he's not interested in my topic. He doesn't want to listen to me. That is how you are going to take that person. Okay, this is nothing but the misinterpretation. And whenever there is misinterpretation of the non-verbal communication, there is an interpersonal barrier which is there in between both of you.